Hi there. So today I want to talk about what I'm gonna call Ironman psychosis. So it's this might be a little incoherent because I've wanted to make a video for a bit and haven't really cleared my thoughts on this, so we might jump about a bit, but let's see. So Ironman psychosis, don't really need to go through the etymology of Ironman, but calling it that because it's like I had this feeling or this thought or epiphany or whatever you want to call it, that a bunch of my friends, acquaintances, family, or kind of mix of all of the above were in some way Iron men. That's to mean, or and women, to mean are like, well, not necessarily chipped, but that they have some extreme medical stuff going on, but primarily chipping, like microchipping being the main sort of theme kind of behind it. It's confused by the fact that there's the Ironman event, right, which is like an ultra, it's not an ultra marathon, but it's like a triathlon, extreme triathlon, so running, cycling and swimming, but longer distances. You've probably heard of it. So that's like what the mainstream Ironman, and then there's like the movie Ironman as well, and then there's a bunch of biblical stuff that talks about like referencing iron and clay, and is probably a reference to transhumanism. And so I guess my psychosis was kind of made up of a mixture of those things. But from my side, it was that I wasn't sure how altered I am, as in what I've got going on, whether I was chipped either as a kid or at some point throughout my life. I'm not sure. It's kind of impossible to prove, right? I mean, unless you're a surgeon and you take yourself apart or scan yourself, have that equipment and whatnot. Then yeah, it's pretty tricky to know. So what makes me think this? I think I mentioned in the video about telepathy that I thought at some stage I was like communicating with cell phone networks, Wi-Fi, wireless communications in general, or satellites maybe. And then along with that, just this I suppose this thought came into my mind. I don't recall exactly how, or whether I had some alleged discussion with some other entities, but yeah, that was what the conclusion that I came to, and I don't know where I am with it now. I mean, occasionally I will get like a high-pitched ringing noise in my ears. It's hard to locate exactly, but it's just like in your head, it doesn't feel like it's coming from outside of my head, and I feel like that could be it's very distinct. It could be some like energy weapon, or it could be a chip having something done to it, or it could be V2K, voice to K, which is wireless, it's known as voice to skull software or hardware or technology, and there's patents for all of this stuff. If you Google V2K or voice to skull technology, patent, like there are Google patents openly, or not patents by Google, but if you search on Google's patent database, it will come up. And yeah, I'm just super undecided about it. I mean, the reason I thought I may have been chipped, or there was one incident in particular I was working in Monaco at a yacht show, and they're quite boozy affairs, as in it's like work hard, play hard, and so most nights, or some nights, I would be 3 sheets to the wind, pretty hammered, and wouldn't necessarily remember what I had been up to. And one night in particular, I was out in Port Hercule, which is like the main port in Monaco, and saw a girl being arrested by the police, and she was like making a scene and kind of screaming and stuff, and it didn't sound great. from where I was stood. And so I went over to the police car, like no one else was really doing anything. I went over to the police car and tried to talk to them. They wouldn't open the door of the police car. They bundled her into the car at this point, two coppers. And then I tried to open the door of the police car, and the door was slammed shut from the inside, and they just drove off. And I think it was that night. It was the next morning. That night I got pretty trashed, and then the next morning I vaguely remember wandering around Cap Dye, which is the port along, and then I had this fucking really bad pain in my my ankle. I thought that something happened. I realised that sounds pretty tenuous, and it is. But it's just this idea of it ties in with like Manchurian Candidate, which was a novel which was turned into 2 films, the original of which was in 1962, and talks a lot about controlling, or it's about creating a presidential candidate who can be controlled by a third party, so by a corporation or a committee or someone sort of in the shadows who is backing them and has control of their chipping, which also this ties into MK Ultra programming and mind control and all of these sort of, I guess you say conspiracies. I mean, they are conspiracies in the sense that they are things which, if they do exist, I mean, on some level they do, require the cooperation of individuals. So people are required to conspire, which just means to breathe together. Conspiracy really means breathing together. There is no inherent deviousness or secrecy or Machiavellian aspect or nastiness. It's quite simply coordination on some level. So like a coordinated plan between more than one person who is able to breathe. So you could argue like businesses are a conspiracy between 2 people to make money or to produce soft drinks or computers or whatever the business does. Where were we? MK Ultra and mind control and chipping. Manchurian Candidate. So it's my belief that since watching the Manchurian Candidate, the first one, the 1962 one, which is really interesting, that it is with like the Rat Pack, or some of the Rat Pack. So Frank Sinatra plays one of the main characters, and it was the year before JFK's assassination, and it kind of mirrors what happened potentially with JFK pretty interestingly, given that it was the year before that occurred. And then the character in the film he's like a spitting image. The character who is the president who takes over after the first president is assassinated looks a lot like the president who succeeded Kennedy, whose name escapes me, but he was president he went by his initials. So that, and then there was one in 2004 with Denzel Washington, and it's like an updated version, but that's probably got more chips and stuff involved. I think that's how global politics is run, really. I think that the majority, if not all, of leaders of certainly Western democracies, in inverted commas, are kept under control using, either with microchips and things that can physically stop them from putting their feet out of line or saying or doing the wrong thing, or with blackmail and that sort of thing. Although I would tend to think that it would probably be a bit more that there's no reason why they wouldn't all be chipped. I mean, thinking of, for example, Keir Starmer at the moment. I don't think that he's not a strong enough leader to be in a position to sort of, A, it might not be done consciously with their conscious consent, but B, even if it is, then Keir Starmer is not in a position to sort of say no to those sorts of things. It's not going to be oh, you don't want to be chipped? Oh, right, well then go ahead and be Prime Minister anyway. It would be, I think it would be part and parcel of an agreement with whoever, I don't fully understand that, but the deep state, if you want to call it that, or whoever's really pulling the strings, because it's not the leaders, it's not our elected leaders, they are figureheads or puppets, if you like. So yeah, I'm trying to kind of thread all this together. And then the other thing, or that was the way that I was thinking, perhaps that's how people hear my, or these voices or whatever are hearing my voice, is through chip, that they're like, people are chipped to hear what I'm thinking, and maybe vice versa at different times. I just do not know. But there's definitely something there, and I know that voices aren't like inside my head, although there are some, like my own ego. If I haven't managed to quieten my own inner monologue, inner voice, then that can kind of, I feel like my own ego can masquerade as other voices. So yeah, so to take it back to the Ironman thing, also I think it's something that is probably pretty widespread in militaries around the world. I mean, chipping for, I was going to say recreational purposes, but chipping for the like general citizenry is something that's been on the cards for a while and is probably going to occur in my lifetime. I'd be surprised if it didn't, and already has openly. I think in some Scandinavian countries, I mean, you've not got necessarily, the chips aren't necessarily brain chips, more wrist chips for like for checking in and out of work instead of punching in and out with a time card. And then also like Neuralink, Elon Musk, his Neuralink is openly talking about kind of merging biological humanity with computers and microchips and silicon-based reality, let's say, which is kind of how I might define computing. Silicon being what's used to manufacture semiconductors and microchips, and is like inherent to computing, what is a big part of it. So this ties into one of my other psychoses, has been that like a considerable portion of my I don't know how to define it. I mean, normally I say like friends, family, acquaintances, like my peer group or my people that I socialise with, people that I've interacted with in my life have been spooks, have worked for various agencies, intelligence agencies, military, all those sorts of things. And then linking into that, I suppose, secret societies and mystery schools, so the likes of the Illuminati, or Freemasonry, or the Rosicrucians, I mean, there's lots of different esoteric sects, but I think there's a lot of overlap between them and the military, for example, and the intelligence community, and like NASA, that sort of thing. And that in order to be part of those agencies, being chipped as a part of it, like it would make sense from a military point of view. If you even watching a lot of Hollywood movies, and I'm not suggesting that Hollywood is the truth, but there's often elements of truth within fiction. So like the Bourne movies, where he's digging out a chip, he's gone rogue, an agent, he's gone rogue from the program, and that sort of stuff. So it makes sense if you were the CIA or MI5, MI6, then to chip your agents, you know where they are, you can track them, makes your life a lot easier. And a lot of my friends do fit the profile of, like, they would be good spies, you know, like good or relatively high intelligence levels. I studied languages at school, which meant that my graduation, my peer group at university speak a whole bunch of different languages to pretty high levels, which is also useful for spying and whatnot. So yeah, I really don't know what to add to that. I don't know how much of it's true, how much of it isn't. But it's something that I would be interested to know if other people have had a similar. I imagine it's fairly common paranoia. Like that can lead to a lot of paranoid thoughts. Are you being spied on? Are you being watched? And then you add to that the fact that we are all being watched and spied on. Well, we're all being watched all the time by like AI or our cameras. Like they're on. Whether they're recording, whether there are people on the other end of it is a different matter. But it lends a lot of legitimacy to that paranoia when the technology is there and the capability is there. And yeah, I imagine that all of us are being spied on by even if it needn't necessarily be by government agencies or the Illuminati or any sort of particular group, also by like hackers. I mean, I've had my fair share of blackmail emails saying how people, I've been hacked, and they're usually like porn based. So they'll say that we've got footage of you visiting websites, and I imagine most of you have also got them, because I think it's probably just these things are sent out to as many people as possible. So yeah, all of those things kind of feed into this what I've nicknamed Ironman psychosis, which is where I don't know if I'm chipped, I don't know if other people are chipped, I don't know what proportion of, is this so much like cognitive dissonance and agnosticism, meaning not knowing, that I kind of live in this weird mental space where I do my best not to be paranoid about things, but I'm also open to the fact that certain weird things like that may be going on, and if not in my life, then it's maybe I'm projecting things that I know go on at a higher level with the elites and the people who run the world, who ostensibly run the world. So that's to say, the people who appear to run the world are the political leaders. That it's going on there, like MK Ultra, all those sorts of things are, as far as I'm concerned, they're facts, or they are things that are definitely affect in the UK, for example, like the aristocracy and the elites, and probably people who want to get to high level military positions, that sort of thing. And then also a lot of artists and like influencers, I suppose, or people with potential to influence. There's often quite a lot of military links between artists and or like artists with military histories. Jim Morrison comes to mind. His dad was the commander of the US vessel that was involved in the Gulf of Tonkin incident that more or less sparked, or was the excuse to start the Vietnam War. Right, this has gone on way, quite a long time, and I'm not sure that it's getting any more coherent, so we'll stop there. Pineal psychosis, this is linked into it as well, because my other thought was, okay, maybe it's not chipping at all, it could be pineal gland. So you are, if you're not aware of what the pineal gland is, go and Google it, but the seat of the soul, as Descartes called it, which is geographically in the center of our brain. It's this tiny little pine cone shaped gland. You can find loads of YouTube videos on it, and that is something that would, and it was linked to telepathy as well. It would potentially be it's our link to the astral realm, and I felt like that was perhaps how people were seeing through my awareness. So I think if you are high enough level sort of yogi and you're enlightened enough, you can sit and meditate. If your pineal gland is opened and decalcified and functioning, and you've done the energy work and all that sort of stuff, then you can project yourself around the universe and through other people's consciousnesses and stuff. And I thought there's probably an element of that going on, which is related to The Men Who Stare at Goats. If you haven't seen that, a great film made from the book by John Ronson, who also wrote an interesting book called The Psychopath Test, which I'm yet to read, but I have it on good authority. That is a good read. Men Who Stare at Goats, great film, is about a sort of psychic wing almost, or I don't know what the military term would be, but the psychic division of the US Army that was developed in the 70s, I think. It's just like a hippie section of the army who's using psychic powers to wage warfare in a slightly less less bellicose way? Can you wage war in a less bellicose way? Yeah, soft war, I suppose, psychological war. Great movie, recommend it. Yeah, I think that's kind of all I have to say for today. If any of that resonates, stick something in the comments and I'll do my best to kind of expand on things. All right, have a good day.